Welcome. We're here to talk about demystifying, we're still got to get used to that word, demystifying AWS cost optimization tools and the strategies for maximizing cloud efficiency. My name is Lauren Tana. I am the webinar facilitator. Right next to me is Michael Cubic. He is the delivery lead cloud services at Blue Crystal Solutions. He's also an AWS certified solutions architect. He's been working in the IT industry for 30 years, so I think he knows something.
I know something.
Yeah. He has quite a vast experience with a number of tools and technologies, primarily having been focused on Oracle solutions, either on-prem or in the cloud for the last few years. And the last few years, you've switched your focus into AWS, Azure, and Oracle Cloud infrastructure. So you've got quite a deep understanding of the origins of the technology and all the intricacies that come with knowing something inside and out and the history of it. So I think he knows a few things. So we've got 30 minutes today. We are doing very much a conversation/interview style session. The idea is that we do about 20 minutes of back and forth between Michael and I, and then have about 10 minutes for questions. Please feel free to drop questions in the chat at any time. We will address them as we go through it. I'll also prompt as well. So plenty of guidance for you guys. So if you don't know Blue Crystal, we are experts in cloud applications, database, and IT infrastructure, and have been since 2004. We empower organizations with cutting edge tech to maximize security, efficiency, productivity, and growth. And we harness our partner ecosystem, just like AWS, as well as Oracle and Microsoft, to work with you, your team, and your wider organization to deliver the best of breed IT solutions. And about you, the audience, if you're here, you're probably likely already on your cloud journey, but maybe you're starting to experience some pain points, or maybe just want to understand how to get the best out of your cloud setup. You've definitely come to the right place. So with that, I'll hand over or kick off with the first question. So Michael, are you ready to dive into the world of AWS costs?
Absolutely, Lauren. Thanks very much. And I'm thrilled to be here today. Navigating AWS costs can be complex, but with the right knowledge and tools, it's entirely possible to optimize your spending without compromising on the performance or scalability that AWS provides. We'll cover everything from the basics of AWS pricing models to advanced cost optimization strategies. My goal is to make AWS billing and cost management clear and manageable for everyone.
That's a pretty damn good goal. So I'll kick off and ask, there's a lot of interest in the AWS free tier. How can users avoid unexpected charges?
Thanks, Lauren. AWS free tier is an excellent way for users to explore and experiment with AWS services without incurring costs, offering certain services free up to a specific limit for 1 year, and some services are always free within certain usage limits. However, staying within these limits requires vigilance. Users should regularly monitor their usage with tools like AWS budgets, which can alert you before you exceed the free tier limits. It's also important to understand the free tier terms, as some services might only be free under specific conditions or for a limited amount of time. By keeping a close eye on your usage and understanding the free tier's limitations, you can avoid unexpected charges.
And it's probably the hook to get people going as well.
It's a great way to experiment and understand what you can get out of AWS.
So AWS offers several pricing models, which can be confusing and is basically the precipice of this webinar. Can you break down the basics for us, please?
Sure. AWS offers a variety of pricing models to fit different project needs and budget constraints, providing a balance between flexibility and cost efficiency. The downside is that there are 155 services that have different pricing models. AWS offers a wide range of services, each with its own pricing structure, which can significantly impact your overall cloud costs. Services like Amazon EC2 for compute capacity and Amazon S3 for storage are among the most commonly used and can vary in cost based on usage, data transfer, and specific configurations. For instance, EC2 instances are priced differently on the instance type, region, and operating system. Similarly, S3 pricing is based on the amount of data stored, the number of requests made, and the data transfer out of S3. It's crucial to understand the cost implications of these services and how to use the AWS pricing calculator to estimate costs based on your specific needs. By doing so, you can make informed decisions about which services and configurations best meet your requirements while keeping costs in check. As an example, I'm going to talk about EC2 pricing, as most people have a requirement for compute resources. EC2 on-demand instances are great for projects with unpredictable workloads, since you pay for compute capacity by the hour without any long-term commitments. Reserved instances, on the other hand, offer a significant discount compared to on-demand pricing in exchange for commitment to use specific instant types for a 1 or 3 year period. Savings plans are similar to reserved instances in terms of the commitment and discount, but offer more flexibility in how you use your compute resources. Lastly, spot instances allow you to bid for unused AWS capacity at a fraction of the cost, which is ideal for flexible, non-critical workloads. The slide here outlines the choices possible. So I'm just going to reference the slide for a moment. This is what I'm showing is this is the pricing calculator on AWS, and in the case of EC2, there are 567 instance types. They come in different family groupings, and you can see here that I've selected the T4G, which is the latest ARM-based instance types, which are both cost-effective and performant. So if I take, for example, the T4G medium, which is highlighted here, you can see there the on-demand cost highlighted. But if we go down to the next slide, you can see the comparison between compute savings, EC2 instant savings plans, on-demand and spot prices. And the variation in prices for that just that one instance type goes from $17 a month all the way up to, on-demand is $30 a month, can come back down to 17, 13, or in the case of spot, down to 10. So depending on your requirements, you can choose any of those models, but bear in mind that the complication about compute and savings plans is that you are committing to 1 or 3 years, and that means if you don't use it, you'd lose it. So you need to have selected your instance type prior to making a commitment. You can actually sell those if you decide that you don't like what you've picked. You can actually sell them on the marketplace, but that's a different story entirely. So if I now speak about S3, you can see again there are different services on offer, from S3 Standard to S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval. All of these different services have different characteristics which would make you choose one or the other, but they all have different pricing points as well. So an example of that is stepping through the calculator again. This is 10 terabytes for the month, and we use a couple of transfer types. This is getting and putting data, and you can see in the end that the standard S3 storage type has a price of 256. Sorry, Sorry about that. $256 US per month. And I should have highlighted the fact that the calculator only puts out USD. You will have to do a translation to AUD for any of those comparisons. So moving on to tagging, sorry.
That's my question.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse me.
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
No, all good. So talking through tagging and resource management, how important is it in managing costs?
So tagging is probably the highlight to take away from this. If you're concerned about your cost management, then tagging is the #1 strategy to enable you to identify where your costs are going. Because although there are a number of tools, unless you have tagging in place, it's very hard to identify where those resources are being spent and who's responsible for them. So it's an underutilized feature in AWS that allows you to assign metadata to your resources in the form of tags. These tags are used for purposes of which include cost management, security, and compliance. But we're here to talk about costs, and that's the method that we're going to use to allocate costs that have been acquired over the course of a month back to a business unit. So you can see here on the screen, I've got some fairly generic tags, but they can be applied, or you can specify your own
Specific?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where do my words go? Set of tags for your organisation. You don't have to use these. These are just fairly generic in nature, but they're a good starting point. So you can tag your resources in a holistic way against everything you've got in AWS, and be able to target a business unit, for instance, to be able to identify the costs that are being allocated to, or resources being allocated to a business unit and how much they're costing. You might want to differentiate in your environment between prod and dev, for instance, as well. So you can, but it really depends on your requirements, and they're very flexible and a powerful means to achieve the end. So I'm going to show you some screenshots here of Cost Explorer. It's one of the major tools within AWS to identify your costs and how they're being allocated for, in this case, a 6-month period. So the Cost Explorer is able to give you a very detailed look at specific things, or it can zoom right out to the year and aggregate them for specific environments or tags, or just very simple. What did I spend across the board for the year? So if you need to drill down further, then this tool has all sorts of filtering capabilities, and you can see on the right that tag is one of those filtering capabilities. So when you have a look at this, it's not very easy to identify who spent what. You can see that you spent a certain amount of money on a grouping of types, but you need to be able to find out where those costs got spent and by whom. So by using the tags that we've spoken about previously, you can filter those based on specific tags for a business unit or a production environment, and so on. Yeah, jumped over. Sorry about that, Lauren.
All good.
So yeah, what else have we got here? So another view of Cost Explorer showing a 3 month period, but broken down into weeks by the looks of it. This is a very flexible tool, but you need to spend a lot of time with it to understand how to get the most out of it. But certainly tagging is going to help you in the biggest way. So,
All right. So I think I can fit my question here
Yeah.
before you jump over that one too. So, of course, we all want to know, can you share some best practice and strategies on optimizing AWS?
yes, I can. So, as I said, AWS costs involve several strategies, each targeting different aspects of cloud spending. Right-sizing your instances to match your workloads is fundamental. Many users over-provision resources, leading to unnecessary costs. AWS offers tools like AWS Compute Optimizer to recommend optimal instance sizes based on historical usage patterns. Another strategy is to leverage reserved instances and savings plans with predictable workloads, offering significant savings on demand. Some of those savings can be as much as 65%, so they're well worth looking into. It's also important to regularly review and clean up unused resources, such as old snapshots, unattached volumes, or idle instances. Automating resource shutdown during off-peak hours can further reduce your cost for non-critical environments. The difference between 24/7 and 5/9 is significant, and you can easily save 50% on your cost just by shutting down unused resources during out of hours. Effective AWS cost management tool. AWS cost management boils down to a few key practices. Firstly, implementing a comprehensive tagging strategy, ensuring visibility into where resources are being used. This forms the foundation for accurate cost allocation and reporting. Secondly, make use of AWS budgeting and monitoring tools to keep track of spending and receiving alerts before budgets are exceeded. Regularly reviewing your AWS usage and spending with these tools like Cost Explorer can also uncover optimization opportunities. Education is another critical aspect, ensuring your team understands the cost implications of their actions and how to use AWS services efficiently. Finally, continuously optimize your environment by right-sizing resources and choosing the most cost-effective pricing models and eliminating waste. Adopting these practices will lead to a more cost-efficient and effective use of AWS.
All right, thank you, Michael. I think we're ready to open for some questions.
I'm sure there is. I haven't really gone into a great deal of depth in this because
Don't tell them that. No, go for it.
there is a lot of depth to these questions. It's not as simple as just opening up Explorer and understanding, getting a picture of where your costs are going. You need to spend time with the product, the Cost Explorer product to understand those things. So, and we really just touched the edges of what the services that are in AWS and how the costs for those can vary greatly. So, a good friend of mine once said to me, I'll put it simply to you, it's complicated.
Yeah.
And it is complicated. And so we're here to help. BCS is applying best practice across the board for our clients who have AWS and Azure and Google platforms. And we understand these things are complicated, and we're here to help in whatever way we can. So we would ask you to reach out if you have any further questions or have specific requirements that you need to have an answer to. We're here to help.
Fantastic. And if guys, if you do have any questions for this session, please do drop it in the chat. I'm happy to give you a minute. And maybe just click to the next slide, please.
Oh, sorry.
As we conclude.
I've got some pricing resources here on the screen as well. So there's a lot of stuff in AWS about cost, and they endeavour to make their, although as complicated it is, they make their pricing information readily available, and it's all out there to be discovered. So yeah.
Well, we've got no questions in the chat here, so I can say thank you, Michael. Thank you for those insights, and thank you to our audience for participating. Remember, understanding and optimizing your AWS costs can lead to significant cost savings and a more efficient cloud infrastructure. I've got all the details up on the screen there that you can see. A recording will be sent to you after this session along with the kit, so you've got access to the resources Michael has included in there. And of course, we're always here to help. So I've left the details there. If you want to reach out to Michael specifically, I've got his email there, or any other questions you have, we've got our info there. Stay connected through our socials, and we definitely look forward to seeing you at the next webinar.